Encapsulation of implementation details. So how do we keep the details encapsulated? Encapsulated means hidden away. Okay, put in a capsule somewhere so that your code looks neat and clean from outside. Now, the principle of treating internal implementation details of a software component as private is known as encapsulation. Encapsulation, the English meaning means put inside a capsule. All right, so the principle of treating internal implementation details, you want to keep it as private. That's called encapsulation. Now, the primary advantage of encapsulation is that it limits the interdependence between software components. So, what is the advantage of encapsulation? The details of one part of your code do not interfere with the details of another part of your code. Having a clear designation of the public and private aspects of the component benefits both the author and the client. Client means user using the program. So for the author, the encapsulation of private details provides greater flexibility in the development and maintenance. So if you have hidden away some of the details, then you as a programmer can continue to improve it without causing any glitches for the user. Okay. On the other hand, for the client or the user, the identification of public portion draws focus to only that which must be understood. So a user does not need to know all the details of your code, but the user needs to know how to use your code. So if you can only inform the user what needs to be done, for example, this code, this tells the user what the function is going to do, right? This particular documentation. The user does not have to know everything else, right? Now, so encapsulation is a very important tool, okay? So let me remind you, what is encapsulation? The principle of treating internal implementation details of a software component as private. Okay. High level design. The use of encapsulation begins with the creation of the high level design for a software project. The design of the various public interfaces depends upon the degree of information sharing that is necessary. Now, underscored names in Python. Python supports the notion of encapsulation through naming conventions. If the identifier given to a class or to a method or attribute of a class begins with an alphabetic character, then that element is presumed to be of public interest. So let me go back to your files on lecture 8 where we saw some classes, right? So for example, let's go to fraction class. Here is fraction class. You see how there is one underscore, right? If you did not have any underscore, then that variable is public. Okay. To designate something as private, we choose an identifier that begins with a single underscore. Now this is a little misleading. One underscore means it is protected. So it is private for the class and its children. It's not accessible outside, but it is protected. Okay, that's what one underscore means. When methods of a class are named with a leading underscore, they are not displayed in the documentation generated by the help or the PyDoc utility. So let's try. Some of these things have changed over time. Let me run this particular class. So say I want to understand fraction. Okay, it's telling me a whole bunch of things, correct? But notice I'm not seeing any of the instance variables. Okay, let me remind you. I don't see any of these instance variables outside. Do you see? I can see special methods, but I don't see any of the instance variables which are uh, essentially protected. Okay, so now suppose I make, well, I don't want to change things here because that will not give me trouble in compilation, but I hope the idea is clear. You see the special methods outside, but you don't see the private information outside. Okay. Now, when the wildcard form of an import is performed, that is, from such and such module, import everything. That's called wildcard. Only the public elements are loaded. That's important to remember. Okay. You could use this file as a module. Okay, you have defined a class, you can import this file. Okay, and from this file you import class. Well, you still will not be able to get out, you won't be able to import private methods. Okay, or you will only be able to import public elements. If a user is aware of an underscored name, then they can be directly accessed. So notice from outside I can't see self dot underscore numerator. But suppose I say p equals fraction. I'm creating fraction. P dot underscore numer, I will be able to see because I as a user am aware that there is such a variable. So if I do this, it's telling me. So I'm able to access it even though I cannot see it from here. Because I have the code next to me, I know such variables exist. Okay. Now, so if a user is aware of an underscored name, then they can be directly accessed. Note that the single underscore naming convention is unrelated to the double underscore naming used for special methods. This does not make it private. These double underscores on here and here makes this special. Also, local variables within a function body are not typically underscored as they are already private. So any function you see, so the local variables here, that is part of the function. You can't see it outside anywhere.